everybody, this is Michelle with Creative Operation and Country Craft Creations, and I just have one more quick project that I wanted to share with you that I made with the leftovers that I had from my March design team package, Carta on the farm. I just had like 3 sheets of 6x12 left, 3 pieces of 6x12 and some scraps, and I thought I could do something with this. I had a couple stickers. I went through my Country Craft Creations stash of seam binding, some twine, and I grabbed the buttons that I got with my design team package, and I kind of made a cute little tag album. These are graphic 45 tags that I did buy from Country Craft Creations, and they are available in the store. I'll put a link down below. But I just wanted to kind of share with you what I did. And again, this was just scraps. This is not like a full-blown tutorial, but I will give you measurements for what I did. I took the longest tags. And again, you know, you could make your own tags if you don't have these. But I did see them available in the store. And I did cut them down, and they measure about 6 7/8 inch long, and then I kept the width of them at 3 7/8 inch. And then I had these pieces of, like I said, I had some 3 pieces that were 6x12, and I did cut them down a little bit, so they are 5 3/4 of an inch. And I did them all a little bit differently, and one I pieced together because I didn't have enough to make 4 tags. But I made this cute little tag album. They have a fun feature on the front, and each one, like I said, is different. And then on the back, I put a little pocket, and then I'll talk about these tags in just a second, but I'll show these to you. The ring came with the graphic 45 tags, and then I just tied some lace and some seam binding that I had scraps of left over from other projects and things from my Country Craft Creations stash, and then tied 2 colors. I don't know if you can tell, but one is a light brown, and then the other one is kind of an ivory color jute twine, and I just tied a double bow through that to tie them onto the ring. And then on the front of each one of these, I did use some seam binding to wrap it around, but then you have a photo feature kind of thing. Sorry about that. And then on the front, I also, on every one of them, I had these daisy flowers, and they have these bright yellow centers in the middle of them that I had from a previous design team package a couple years ago. And so what I did was I took the yellow part out, and then I substituted a little bit of the jute twine behind with a bow, and then hot glued one of the buttons from the stash on there. So instead of having a yellow flower, I have like this brown button flower that matches. This was a leftover sticker that I had not used, so I backed it with a little bit of the pattern paper that was left over. And then this is one of the journaling cards. And then on this one here, it's just a accordion trifold. Okay, so the whole thing measures 10.5 inches, and then it's 5 3/4, and then each piece here is scored at 3.5. So it's scored at 3.5 at 7. And then I just glued it onto the tag and then closed it like an accordion. So I rounded the corners with my crocodile and created the front of that tag with that photo feature. So you could put several photos on that if you want. And then on the back of each one, I used the scraps that I had left over, and I just created little pockets. So again, the paper behind is 5 3/4, and then this is 3.5 wide. And then the pockets I did, let's see, I did at 4.5 wide, and I did it at 3 1/4 deep, and then I just scored it at 1/2 inch on 3 sides. And then I did corner round, and then I put tags in there. So these tags were the shorter of the graphic 45s, and then all I did was cut this part completely off, okay, to skinny it up a little bit. See, I just cut the sides off. And then I used a little piece of scrap, and I used the scallop punch and just created a little border. And that's it. And I tied some twine through there. This is some of the lace that I had that I used in the tassel here, and I just glued some onto the top of the pocket. And then I fussy cut the little barns out of the pattern paper just to decorate. So then the second one here, again, ties with the seam binding. Here's the flower with the button there, an extra sticker backed with pattern paper, and then I have the cut apart here. And then this one opens up and has little pockets, and I didn't put anything in the pockets because I had like nothing left over, but you could tuck pictures and things like that in there. So the pockets are 1 3/4. So let's see, if I did this and then I did 1 and 1, 2, 3, so that would be 10.5 again, and then I just scored at 1 3/4, okay, to create the pocket, and then I would score at 5 1/4, and then at 8 3/4, and then that would give you the little folds for the pockets. Okay, hope that makes sense. And I just again just tied this and put little knots in the ends of my seam binding so that they were nice. And then the back of the pocket looks like this. So I got my little goat. I love the goat. My little barn here, and then here's the tag for that one. Okay. This one here, I had to piece together. So this one's a little bit different. I just kind of had to go with what I had. So the base piece on the back that's glued down, and I'll show you that in a second, is 3.5 by 5 3/4. And then the little pieces on the front, I did 2 doors that were 4 by 5.5, and I just scored each one at half, and I glued it behind the paper back there and just created a little trifold. And then this was a piece of pattern paper, and I just added some stickers that I didn't use. So the overalls, the duck, and the wheelbarrow, and then the farm life, and then I put another flower there. So I just created that little piece there. And then on the back, let's tie this up. We have the pocket, the little barn, and then our tag. Okay. Then this one, the last one here, this was a full piece, you know, that was 6 by 12 that I cut down. And this one, instead of doing it accordion, I did it gatefold, but it has full-size pages. Okay, and tie that back up and turn this over, and then that is the tag on the back. Okay, so very cute. Used up my scraps. I'm totally done now. This is a third project, but I just wanted to kind of go through and do a walkthrough, talk through with you. Again, I did cut the tags down, but if you wanted to create your own tags, they are 6 7/8 by 3 7/8, and then the pieces on the front are 3.5 wide by 5 3/4 tall. And then you can just kind of go to town with whatever you want to do with your scraps. But that's what I created. So now I am completely done with the Carta Bella on the Farm collection. I have nothing left, and I had a lot of fun trying to see what I could do with what I had left over. So thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, let me know, and I will see you again real soon. Take care and stay crafty. Bye-bye.